Hello and welcome, guys. Welcome to the chapters and curtains. And today we have a renowned author with us who has recently won IGF Archer Amish Award in London 2025. She is Dr. Shalini Mullick. Hello, ma'am, and welcome to this show.
Hello, Avantika. Thank you for having me here.
So, First of all, you have won this amazing award, and it was also presented by none other than Jeffrey Archer. How do you feel about it?
I'm thrilled. I was thrilled then and I'm still thrilled. I cannot, there's a part of me which still cannot believe that I have actually shared space with someone as big as Jeffrey Archer and as prolific as Amish. I mean, both are absolutely great authors. I grew up reading Archer. And just the fact that I was there and he was there and he's read my book and then considered it worthy of an award. There's a part of me which feels I've died and gone to heaven and I need not write anymore. And then there's a part of me which feels that it's a huge responsibility. I mean, what next? But I'm right now, I'm just savoring the moment, frankly.
Nice. Just one question here. You said you have read Jeffrey Archer's books. So, have you also read Clifton Chronicles?
Yes. Yes, I have.
It is one of his most popular
Please.
series, and I think also Cain and Abel, and that one is a very popular
So that
series.
trilogy, of course, trilogy that Cain and Abel, then Prodigal Daughter, and Shall We Tell the President? That is, I think, something that I must have read many times.
Okay.
And yeah, so I've read all his work, I think, except for once he writes so fast, you can hardly catch up. So, but I've read all his earlier novels, also all his short story collections. So,
Okay. So, your book, The Way Home, is what got you this award. So, what inspired you to write this story? And if you can tell us a little bit about, the inspiration behind it and how did then this story
sure.
pan out?
Sure. So this is the book, The Way Home. And why I'm showing it here is because the cover will take us to the story. So the story is set in Goa. You see the sea beach, and there are these three young people who are the protagonists of the story. So there are three. These are three young urban millennials. One of them is a doctor, and she's struggling with grief. She's lost a sibling, and she's trying to run away from grief. She's not able to get over that tragedy. The second one, her name is Anya. The second one is Roy. He's a doctor too, and he's a surgeon. But there have been certain setbacks in his career, and he's lacking in confidence. He's wondering whether he can continue being a surgeon or not, which is a very big thing once he's trained and all that. And the third one is Neil. He's not a doctor. He's in accounts and he has a regular job, but he wants to be a chef. And he's struggling with the societal expectations of it being a less than, it's not a conventional career, but that's what he really wants to do. So he's this dreamy, flaky kind of a guy, who's internally struggling. So these are these three people coming from different places. They don't know each other. They've never met, and they all take up a new job in Goa in a hospital, and they meet and they become friends. And why I wanted to tell this story was because I see a lot of young people around me struggling with these things, career, confidence, sorrow, pain. It's all with social media and the kind of hyper connected world we have, we tend to gloss over all this. The world is very quick to move on, and the world is very quick to show what is the good side, and everyone's showing their successes on LinkedIn. Everyone seems to be just rocking their careers. So people who are not in this mold, sometimes it can be very difficult for them, right? So that's what I wanted to show, the power of real human connection. Because, when they connect with each other, when they bond with each other as friends, and I think friendship is a huge part of millennial experiences, right? Families have become smaller, families are more distant, and friends are playing more and more of a role for these millennials. So I wanted to show the power of that human connection and how that helps them get over their own individual challenges. When one is feeling low, the other person is there for them. and they discover their own strength and they recover from their own struggles and demons which have been haunting them. So for me, it was a very timely exploration into the world that today's youth live in.
So it is generally said that movies and books, they reflect our society, that you already mentioned. But also, a lot of books, they reflect upon a person's own individual experience. So you taking two of the protagonists who are doctors, does it has to do anything with your profession also, or the experiences that you came across or you picked up from somewhere?
Very true. Of course, it does. I mean, a lot of this book came from my observing the juniors around me, the people of today who complete their studies and then have to look for jobs. What are they going through? So, absolutely. I mean, it. I think each story, even if it's fiction, it's drawn from personal experiences and observations. So absolutely. And then for me, writing the hospital setting comes more naturally than writing anything else.
Yeah.
So the other thing was also that when I started this book, COVID was still, in full force. So I was more influenced by the grief and the sorrows around us in the hospital. So I think that also, added to this.
And why Goa? Why did you choose Goa as a place where these people came?
You want the honest answer or you want the polished answer? I'll give
Okay, honest answer, if
so
we can have that.
of course. So now I'll give you both. The honest answer was this that when I read the book, the second wave of COVID was on. I had still not traveled after the pandemic. I was because we were busy with work, we're doctors. So I was craving to go somewhere. I was dying to travel. And this was my way of, traveling
Yeah.
without going anywhere.
Wow, wow.
But then, having said that, that once I did settle in Goa, I realized that just the vibe of the place is so conducive for, getting away from the real world. That I found it easier to build. There are so many places and things which I could use in the book as a backdrop for these friends to move on. So that worked very well for me. But initial reason was this that, I was craving to go somewhere. So I was constantly Googling Goa and beaches and all that got, translated into the book.
Okay, okay, that's great. So basically, the award citation mentioned how relatable and heartfelt your storytelling is. Is there a particular part or character in from this book which is closer to your heart of these three characters?
So all three, since I've created them, are very close to me. But Neil is someone, that I really, it's not like, I mean, he's this guy on the surface. It seems like he's very breezy and very superficial. And what you say in Hindi, he's very must types. But that
Mhm.
is just his facade for dealing with all the stuff that is going on underneath. So for me, I'm more attached to him. And then he has this habit of, looking at the clouds and looking at the shapes they make, which I again found very cute, because very few people pause and see those kind of things. So I definitely, he's my sort of like fuzzy, cute character in the book.
Okay, so Neil is who is coming from a different profession altogether.
Yes. Yes.
Rest two are doctors, so they could
Yeah.
be more relatable to you. But
Yeah.
Neil is someone who is coming from a absolutely different profession. So were you also feeling that you could probably pen down anything, because this is something very,
Yeah, it lets you be free, and I could
yeah,
craft him exactly the way he wanted to be. So, yeah, maybe that is a very, that's a very perceptive point that you've raised.
yeah, because that is one could run wild basically in
Yeah,
imagination,
yeah,
not
yeah,
tied up to anything.
yeah, true. Very true.
So, has winning this award changed anything for you as a writer?
So that's a very good question. I want to say that it's definitely given me a lot more confidence because writers are the top people to suffer from imposter syndrome. If someone is telling us, we liked your book, what we'll say? We'll say, really? We won't say thank you. we'll say, because we have that little niggling voice inside us, the voice of self-doubt, which will not let us be in peace. So
Mhm.
now sometimes I feel that, I mean, Archer's read my book. What more? I mean, he could finish my book, he could give it an award. So I tell myself, Shalini, you're not a bad writer, you know. So that little voice is becoming smaller, I hope. And I hope, you know, that all the self-doubts will remain resolved for a while at least. So that's been the biggest change, of course. Other than that, when you win an award, it's great. But the next day, the blank page is still the blank page, and you know you have to remove yourself from all of that and sit down and write. And I know that, and that's fine. But on the whole, yes, it's a huge validation. It's a huge validation of not just my work, but the work of many writers, you know, who write and who suffer from self doubt.
Right, right. But this is my experience, how I perceived it. So I definitely initially got to know about this via publisher. But exactly, they were like, it's a huge thing. It has never happened and it's a very big thing to be there. And then I saw you on various stages and that's when we got in touch.
Yeah.
So from where I see, I mean, it's the first award which
Yeah.
was presented. So, in itself, how do you feel about being the first receiver of this very award?
That's a special honor altogether. That is absolutely unparalleled, because there will be winners after this, but no one will have this journey. No one will have the tag of being the inaugural winner.
Yeah,
And that is like a whole different level of special, you know,
yeah.
and that's my,
Basically, this goes, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This goes
No
in
one,
history.
exactly. No one can take that first thing away, you know. So, absolutely.
Yeah. So, also, you have been writing from quite some time now. You have also written two more books.
Yes.
So, would you like to tell us a little bit about them as well?
Sure, sure. So, this is the one book which won us the award, and this is my second book, and this is a full-length novel. Before this, so The Way Home was released in 2024. Before that, this was my first book. This was released in 22. It's called Stars from the Borderless Sea. This is a mature romance collection. It doesn't have short stories, it has long stories. It has three long stories. And the theme of the book is love and relationships. And this book was also thankfully received very well. It was longlisted for the Author Awards in the debut category, which are very prestigious awards for women writers. This book is basically, this is the universal emotion love captured in its different forms. So, classic old world romance. And this is my third book, which just came out probably, 2 months ago. It's called One More Chapter. And this is a collection of short stories, really short stories, bite sized stories about 8 to 10 pages each. And it is about the inner strength and resilience of women. That is the underlying theme. Each story is very diverse. It's very, very different in the challenges that the protagonists are facing, but it is the strength of the women and how they rise above those challenges and live the lives that they want to. That is the underlying theme. So, yes, these are my three books. Other than that, I've contributed to anthologies across different publishers, but these are my three solo books.
Okay. And you being a practicing medical professional and now writing fictional books, how do you balance these two worlds? I mean, these are very different worlds themselves.
So I think more than balance, it is in also in some way these are very complementary worlds, because the needs or the outlets that I do not find in my work, I probably find in writing, because there's no scope for us to be imaginative or creative when we are doing medicine, right? I mean, we have to do what we see, and we have to follow what needs to be done. You know, we can't suddenly say, Ki, today let's do this and see it, you know, in the bigger scheme of things. Here I can let myself go. So I think more than balance, or if you're right, then they're very different. But I think that all of us have these aspects to our personality. So for me, it's more like, these are aspects which I can, like you said, let yourself go when it comes to fiction. Also, I find that once you do one of the two things, so once, for example, being a doctor makes me more tuned to observing people. It also by nature of the work, by very nature of the work, that it's a people-centric profession. So I meet a lot of people, I see a lot of people, and especially anyone who's sick has their own story, right? Even in medicine, we say taking history, that is derived from story. And also, I work in a public sector organization. So we are getting exposure to a huge cross section of society. How a person responds to the same situation depends on where they're coming from, depends on the privileges that they have, depends on the lives that they've led. So I feel that it gives me a window into a very large cross section of population, which otherwise is not that easy to get. uh, you know, uh, Sometimes we interact basis our own life experiences, and the patient interacts basis their own life experiences. And it's very interesting to see how these match or don't. So a lot of those things will find their way into stories. Some of them have into in one more chapter, there's a patient with AIDS. I mean, she got infected with HIV because her husband had the disease. So, for us, it's just a disease, right? But for her, the stigma was more than the stigma, the feeling of being unfair. She did not have any risk behavior, right?
Yeah,
Still,
right, right.
still. So that perspective as a person, the
Mm.
patient and the person, you see, do not always come together when they come to you in the hospital. We are first focused on the patient. So if I feel that being a writer helps us being more sensitive to the person behind the patient. So it's both. Similarly, when I'm writing, I think I try and process because I'm making a story out of an experience, right? So it makes me more sensitive when I'm making that character's arc. It makes me more sensitive in real life to my patient. Like I said, we may be scolding a patient for not following an instruction, but the patient is truly not understanding us. I'm going to give you a very simple example, right? Or the patient has their own set of beliefs which they've been, brought up in from the time they were born.
Yeah, yeah.
So till we understand that, what is the aim? The aim is good health, right? So to understand that, so sometimes that happens, and then I become more sensitive to the person. I become more sensitive to the fact that why a person is or a patient is responding in a particular way. So I feel that both are complementary and both actually make us better at the other thing, you know. And this is something that I've learned over the years. I'll suddenly find myself, like thinking, if this person was in my story or if this case was in my story, I would think differently, right? Because then it would be my character. So, yes, balancing the two is difficult because, you have to do what's right at that moment, whether, you're behaving as a doctor or you're behaving as a writer. But it happens, and it's very important, actually. I mean, I think that one feeds the other.
Right, right. But so I've seen a lot of doctors writing a lot of books which are related to medicine and the field they are in. But it's rare to see a doctor writing a fictional books because ultimately that also is one they are living in that kind of world, and that is their direction of life, so they find it more aligned with them probably than to dwelling into the fictional world. So it takes a little bit, I would say, more time and also more energy and more focus to get into a world which is not essentially yours.
True, agree completely. And yes, writing about medicine is something, even, like textbooks or even popular books, doctors are doing a lot. But in fiction, yes, you actually have to forget after a certain point, it doesn't matter whether you're a doctor or not. You're just
Mhm.
writing. None of my books have doctor written in the, it just say Shalini Mullick there.
Actually, I also observed this that none of the books say Dr. Shalini Malik. But why is that?
Robin Cook, Arthur Conan Doyle. We're writing as writers. One, that is
Ah,
the main thing. The second, sometimes, and this is what people told me when I wrote my first book, and I was actually thinking, "Ki, do I want to do this ad doctor or not?" A lot of people told me that the readers will think it's a serious book or it's a medical thriller, because my first book does not have even, I mean, there's not even a hospital setting, right? So they said that, that's the kind of work that people expect from doctors. So that expectation which will be set will not be realistic. They will not realize that it's a fiction book. So I decided to go with that advice. And like I said, here it's the writer avatar of ours that is,
yeah.
taking at the stage.
So, circling back to your current book, The Way Home, what would you like to tell our viewers that what could be that one thing that probably they can take away from the book, or probably what is that one thing which it has been your focus, which reaches to this audience, whosoever is reading and watching these sessions?
So in the way home, it is the fact that you have that strength inside you to get over whatever is challenging you or whatever obstacle you're facing. You just have to find the right circumstances or the right people to help you discover it. And sometimes that's where we get stuck. So normal human connections, deep relationships and friendships are what will help you find yourself.
Okay. And what helps you in writing such with so much understanding and empathy?
That's a very good question. I think it is. So it's not easy. I think, I write the same thing many, many times. I sit with the character and I try and imagine their struggles. It does not, so, it's very easy. Like I said, I will initially craft a character who will be responding the way I will, of course, because, we only know ourselves. But then I'll try and understand them better. So for that, what I need essentially is to be very clear about their past experiences, their backstories, what we call them, whether they go into the book or not,
Hmm.
right? Because that is what is influencing their responses to the world today. So I really need to sit, craft that character. Like, for example, in this book, Anya, I wrote down like if she's 30 today or she's 25 today, she was born in which year. So, I actually, I can't put all of that in the book, right? But what are the main experiences that made her what she is today? So you need to do that for all of your main characters. And then, of course, you will feel more empathy for them. And then that will come through in the book.
And are you working on any further books?
Yes, authors are always working on further books. So I'm working on another fiction novel, and I'm working on a non-fiction book, both. I don't know which one will happen first, but let's see.
Oh, a non-fictional novel.
No, a non-fiction book. A novel will always be fiction.
Acha, sorry, a non-fiction book. So is that related to, I don't know if you would like to tell us. That sounds interesting.
It's related to my work. That's all I would like to say as of now. It's related to my work, yes. Like you said, doctors write a lot of other books, so I thought
Yeah,
let me join that gang also.
yeah, that's what I thought. Maybe it could be related to that.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, as it happens, we will let everyone know.
So, Dr. Shalini, all of your three books, they essentially speak about women's identity. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about it? What prompted you to work so much and write so much around women's identity?
So that's a brilliant question. And you know what? I've studied in I'm a graduate of Lady Harding Medical College, which is women's only institute. And I worked in a lot of places where there has been a strong percentage, a higher percentage of women working. So I've always got that window into the inner lives of women. And that is something that is very important for me, that it comes through in my work. So in my first book, in Stars from the Borderless Sea, all the protagonists, they are mature women. Okay? They have lived their lives on their terms, made their choices, some of which might be unconventional, might be things that society judges them for. But they have taken those steps because they have found the courage to, go and claim their happiness. They didn't want to be what society is telling them to be. They did not want to be the Abla Nari. They wanted to be the able Nari. And they knew that there will be a price to pay for it. But they have gone and done that. And they are happily owning their choices. Even see, today, if I take a decision, any decision about my life, I don't know how it will pan out later. Correct? All I know is that at this moment, that was the route that I could see to happiness. So that was the right choice. Now, if it goes wrong later on, wrong in a conventional way or whatever way, things don't turn out the way I expected them to, I take full responsibility for my decisions. I don't play the victim. That is how they have lived their lives and found their happiness. They're living on their own terms, whether it's their career, whether it's their personal relationships, whether it's their family that they have nurtured. These are all decisions that they have taken. These are not decisions that society told them that you have to live life like this. So for me, that is very important. Now here comes the challenge. When someone picks up a fiction book, when you pick up my book, you are expecting a story because it is a fiction, right? You're not expecting a master class in feminism. If you wanted that, you would have picked up that book, correct? Now, how do I balance that as a writer? I do that by creating protagonists who are very simply empowered women in their own space, right? I do not give a lecture on what women should do, what women should wear. But for example, in The Way Home, Anya and Roy, when they become friends, they go out often to the beach on a bike, which is the standard way of commuting in Goa for young people, right? All I've done is I've shown Anya riding the bike.
Right,
So
right.
I've not gone into this lecture about women can ride a bike. So, but my aim is to challenge the stereotypes that all of us are surrounded with. You understand, we grow up in our homes, privileged people like you and me, where we are empowered, encouraged to study, encouraged to work. Some of us even grow up in homes where there is an equal division of labor between the parents. So, but this is in our four walls. Outside, the messaging that is happening is still very stereotyped, right? And we don't even need to go into the news of today to find out. I mean, I don't even want to go there because those kind of things are depressing. Every day you have patriarchy. So, for example, someone visits your place in a car. What is the norm that a child sees? The gentleman will drive and the lady will sit, right? In 95% of the cases of the road, people on the roads, correct?
Yeah.
So this is just my subtle way of showing life as it is today. If two people are on a bike, it doesn't matter which is the man and which is the woman. Either of one of them can drive and either one of them can ride pillion. So balancing women's identity. See, when I'm writing a non-fiction book or a non-fiction essay on women's identity, it's very easy because, like I said, that's what I'm writing about. Now, here in this book, there are Roy's parents, and Roy had a childhood illness, so he needed one parent to become a caregiver. And it is his father who's become the caregiver and not the mother. The mother has a career, of a full time career for whatever reasons. It's their decision, right? So that is how I want to, bring women's identity into mainstream fiction. And that's important for me. Of course, other than that, all the women characters that I create, they will be highly empowered. They will have their own very strong journeys. And like I said, and that's what one more chapter is about. One more chapter is completely about women owning their identity. And that does not mean that. So there's another thing, strength and courage are not always what roars at you and, what you shout out and do. And feminism is not always, by it doesn't have to carry a placard. A lot of women in our day-to-day lives are making inroads into patriarchy. They're changing these systems gradually. They are uh, breaking the cycle. So, for example, one of my favorite stories in one more chapter is about a homemaker mom homemaker, business family, you'll just expect that she just takes care of the domestic side of things, right? So she understands her child's struggle and she takes decisions which will now this is a homemaker mom with no financial independence also, with the husband being the conventional head of the family and what he says goes, and but she realizes that her child is struggling. So she very passively, very quietly, very subtly, but very persistently keeps telling the husband and the child that, let's send the child outside to study, because she knows that the child needs to get away. This is something that so many mothers do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they are breaking the cycle. They are deciding, they are picking what they can do and doing it. They are not playing the victim. Even if they have not been able to come out of that system, they are breaking the cycle for their children. What more do you want? So for me, it's very important that none of my characters, women or men, be wishy-washy, be people who are victims. There is always a choice. There is always something you can do. And that is what I wanted to come across. And more so for women, because then women are regarded as helpless, right? But women can help themselves. And that's very important. So although my three books are very different, and I've done this very differently in all the three books, but it's an underlying theme. And like I said, The Way Home is it's just purely a novel about three millennials. It's not even a novel about women, right? But it was important for me to bring in this fact, to bring in, like I said, Anya rides the bike, Neil's father chops the coriander, because this is the world that I want to have around me. So that way. So
Wow, it's a very powerful message.
thank you.
So, so moving to our last point of discussion, which is, as an author, did you face any difficulty when it comes to writing the novel in terms of resources, maybe, time and getting it published and moving forward with it?
So yes, first we'll come to time. Super challenge, super huge challenge. With a full-time job, when I started writing, my both my kids were in their teens. They still are in their teens, but it was the beginning of teenage years. For one of them, the other one was younger. So time was a huge challenge. Uh, I generally manage my time by getting up early in the morning before going to work by stealing an hour or so, and weekends. Weekends are when Sundays are when I wake up early. Yes, on Sundays I wake up early. I don't sleep in. Wake up early, get a couple of 4 or 5 hours done. Before everyone else wakes up, and then the whole routine sets in. So time is a huge challenge for almost every writer, because I don't think any of us can afford to be full-time writers. We are simply not earning enough to pay our bills through writing. We are hardly earning anything. But I think that most writers still struggle, and this is how most of my friends do it. Beyond that, publishing is an entirely different ballgame. I would say it's as big a challenge as writing a book, could be even bigger, because writing is in your control. In publishing, nothing is in your control. So yes, it was a huge challenge getting published. I can't even count the number of times the first book was rejected. I don't even wish to remember those days. I think I must have spent a year with the completed manuscript
Okay.
to get it published, and send it everywhere, to publishers, to literary agents, to editors. You break your head on their websites, you keep submitting, you keep hoping you'll meet someone somewhere. Even if you meet someone somewhere and send them, no one replies in the publishing industry. So it can be very demotivating. It's a very difficult phase, which you can only survive if you have good friends in the publishing industry who hold you up. Otherwise, I think all of us would be very depressed. So uh, the once I did get my publisher, yes, you suddenly feel that life is sorted. To some extent, it is. But after your book is published, you are still the one who has to take it out to the reader, because there are so many books being published every day. There are so many books in the bookstores. Amazon is teeming with books. So how does someone find your book? Is the question. So then you have to, give a lot of time and effort to your being visible, to your promoting the book, which is something that as writers we're simply not used to. And especially most of us, myself included, are actually introverts. We started writing because we don't feel like going out and, talking to people, and then you have to go out and do the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's all a very rocky road.
Mhm.
Uh, but it's a journey that I think everyone has to make, because
Mhm.
that is what for me the difference between the being the writer and the author, because the author has to have these components to him. If you're a writer, you can sit and write forever. But then, what happens? We're not content with being a writer. Let's be very honest here. We want our words to go out, we want to be heard. So then we have to do this. So submitting to publishers is a huge challenge. Uh, Most publishers are getting like hundreds of inquiries a month. How do you hope that yours stands out and they give you a chance? It's a lot of luck, and you have to keep working on the manuscript. Every rejection that comes back, you should work on your manuscript and make it a little better. Uh,
Wow.
and that's like baptism by fire, frankly speaking, but that's the way it is. But I will say this again. You need to have good friends if you want to be a writer or in the publishing space, because it can be very lonely, it can be very demotivating. Also, you've picked something which no one in your family is aware of. One. Second, for everyone around you, it's a hobby, right? So they'll just tell you why you're getting so upset. It's just a hobby. But the point is that you've given your blood and sweat and toil to that manuscript. So it may be a hobby, but it's also your life work. It's also like raising a child. So
Yeah.
to understand that, you definitely need people who are in the same space as you. So I would really recommend finding writing communities for those of us who are watching us. Finding writing communities, finding friends, meeting people in the same space, nothing like that. That is the absolute thing that you need to do. So, yeah, but once you get published and once you're out there, some of it you forget and life becomes easier. But I completely agree with you that there are a lot of struggles. But then to create anything, that is the way life works, right?
Wow. Actually, that's very insightful. I'm sure budding authors would really take a note of this.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, just before ending, anything that you would like to tell our audience, maybe an advice or something, maybe from your book, The Way Home, which won the award, and or anything else that you would want to put up?
I just want to say two things, not really from the book, but also from all books. Follow your heart. I mean, just follow your heart. Do what brings you joy, and create something, whether it's a video, whether it's a dish, whether it's a song, whether it's a book or a story. I think the joy that creation brings you a lot of peace. And I'm sure you will agree, right?
Hmm.
That's why, we are all doing this. So one
Yeah.
is create something. The second is actually a request as an author. Please read. Please buy books. Books are dying, and it's very sad. It's not sad for me. I'm one author, right? But it's very sad for the world we live in to have books gradually declining. Because books are really what give you a window into the world, an in-depth window. So please read, please buy books. The problem with the book industry right now is that people are not reading, and people who are reading are not wanting to buy books. A book costs what a coffee costs you. You know,
Yeah.
I honestly, so this is something I'm not saying buy my book only, buy whatever book you like. But that mindset has to go. When you turn a book around and you say, oh, 350 rupees, 350 rupees is not that much. Like I said, it's a coffee or a half a pizza, probably. I don't know what a pizza costs these days. So read whatever you like. I'm not saying read only my books. Watch whatever you like. But, also be mindful that there's someone who's created that. So honor them in whatever way you can.
Okay. That's a very good advice. And thanks a lot for your time for
Thank you.
making it on a Sunday morning and giving us your precious time.
Thank you for having me.